part two of this lecture one. So I finished up with Cerro Rico, Potosí. What's important about Cerro Rico is that the author uses it as a symbol, and not only a symbol, but also a concrete evidence of this wealth transfer being so massive. But not only happened in Bolivia, but Mexico to this day is still producing silver and gold, and a lot of it is transferred over to Europe, even to this day in the 21st century. And so this is what gives the capital, which is a fancy word for the monies necessary to modernize Europe to what it is today, or how we see it today. Now it was able to go into the world market because it had the chiching. And also, it allowed for a merchant class, a business class to grow, a middle class to grow, which would eventually launch within their cultural vision. It will launch what we consider modern capitalism. To this day, before that, there was probably trade, and it wasn't homogenous. It wasn't. Each region had its own way of doing things. But now that there was so much gold and silver in Europe's economy, and they were able to go, hey, China, I want this. Well, show me the money. Well, we got it. Hey, Middle East, I want this. Well, show me the money, etc. India, whatever. And so all this wealth is pouring in to Europe. Europe is traded it in for goods and services, whether it's militaries and whether it's rich classes that want the silk, the cotton, whatever they want. But that's not all. That's just the beginning of it. And you're going to see through Indian Giver all this wealth. Now, at the beginning, you'll see first what's recognized as valuable. In this case, gold, and then silver. But you're going to see also other things. For example, this incredible amount of land. Remember in the first article, People versus Nature, Europe's agricultural sector is exhausted. Okay? And it is the Americas that would also revive that, which would allow for their populations to expand. And once the population expands, guess where they're going to go? They're going to go to these places that are being emptied out by the European armies and invaders displacing native people all across the continents. Of course, this would happen over a period of 400 years. Now, other things that you'll notice in chapter 2, for example, pay attention to how the corporation, what is a corporation? Basically, a corporation is a group of people that get together, they all have a little bit of money, and they put it all together so they're able to pull from something, invest in it somewhere so they can pull more from it. Okay, I'm going to put my dollar in because the group of people go, if we put our money here, well, you put in $1 in a year or so, or 2 years or so, whenever it matures, you'll be able to pull back not only that dollar you invested originally, but $2. And so this is also the beginning of the corporation. Monocrops being introduced. Monocrops. What are monocrops? Monocrops are, before, human beings, they plant a variety of plants, particularly ones that are edible, the ones that, the tribe, the group is going to subsist from. But monocrops are a different thing. Monocrops are basically planting the same thing so you can be able to sell it for a profit. So what would happen here? We see first sugar as a monocrop. Of course, sugar, I believe, has its origins in Africa. That's where it originally came from. The next thing, tobacco. Tobacco has its origins in the Americas, but all of a sudden it was a hit in Europe, and then this market in Europe exploded, people demanding it, and so people who had pushed native people out and it took over their land start planting this monocrop called tobacco. And of course, it would eventually become an issue because that would pull in labor, which would cause a pull from Africa, right? Those African civilizations, those societies that were very sophisticated, all of a sudden they collapsed on themselves, and now they're at war with each other, and the Europeans are selling them guns, and the people are starting to, kidnap each other and sell each other into slavery. Okay, so that's what you hear. Usually people arguing like, well, it's Africans who sold other Africans into slavery, so, I'm going to wash my hands over the process. That's not how it works. That's why it's important that we look at the big picture of what's going on, what's motivating people. Anyways, going back to this. So we see monocrops. So I already mentioned two, right? Sugar and tobacco. Now, the next monocrop, cotton. Cotton. Pay attention to cotton, because before then, it was difficult to grow cotton and be able to pull from the field enough cotton to be able to dress people for cheap. Usually people people that could afford it were able to buy it. But the majority of poor people, once again, Europeans, a lot of them being poor, they couldn't afford the cotton. They had to sell it out on the market for people that could afford it. American cotton, different. European cotton, yay thread, the thread this long. American cotton planted in the same acre, this long. Now you're going to be able to produce more. That means you'll be able to bring the prices down. Now you're able to get other people to be able to buy it. So the marketplace, the demand for it grows. So now you're able to get a hold of clothing. So all of a sudden people started dressing better. All because of American cotton. American cotton that native people developed. Because native people have been wearing cotton for a long time, for at least 7,000 years. And in Peru, they found a cotton piece of cloth that's about 7,000 years old. That means people were already dressing in cotton here. Okay, so I just I'm going to give you little chunks here. Okay? I don't want to overwhelm you because there's a lot of information. So the other points maybe I want to talk about is they bring up pirates. Pirates of the Caribbean, remember? Pay attention there, because here's you have the European powers competing for American land and riches. In England is about 100 years behind Spain. So what are they going to do? The Spanish have gotten pretty powerful, so don't mess with the Spanish. And so what's going to happen? England's going to go ahead and let criminals intercept those boats with gold and silver. Once they get enough of that, by stealing and even knighting these thieves, making them, part of the possibility of obtaining nobility within their society's status and rank. Now we're seeing that places like England are supporting criminals. But then again, it's kind of funny, right? Because here we have Spain stealing the labor, the resources from other people, and accusing England of being thieves. The irony, the contradiction. Let's see what I want to add. There's probably something else I want to add. The pirates come into play here, hence why across the Caribbean you have a lot of English-speaking islands, because the English, once they got a foothold first in the New World, they didn't have enough resources yet to be able to actually go into other parts of North and Central and South America. Eventually they would, because of the stolen wealth that was steal from other thieves, in this case the Spanish. And it was through them, through that wealth, that eventually they were able to have enough to be able to invest and put their foothold in North America. All right, I'll leave it at that. Pay attention. Homework assignment is read these 2 chapters, watch the movie, The Color of Money, and then find those commonalities. All right, talk to you next week.